They let the quiet sit on their shoulders a breath longer, then slipped the hush off like a coat and moved. Inside Tick-Tick, Ashforge kept its old walk, gait low, 2 breaths between each boom, the town's pulse, even when the world was quiet. Reeds took them in, river right, sun behind. The path remembered their feet. Dragonflies sewed blue thread over the shallows, stitching light to water where the current pouted at stone. A grasshopper tapped Tick-Tick's shin and left. Heat wavered over clay like breath on glass. Far off, a heron stood in thought, as if it had once been a spear. Iselle did not walk beside him. She walked with him, half a body behind, and 1 step to the shade, reading the skin of the world. Ashforge speaks in 3 drums. Gate, low, moves bodies. River, mid, pulls traps. Sky, high, roofs and air. Horns ride the water and mean work, not glory. 1, net. 2, culverts pull. 3, let sky speak. 4, hold and harvest. No chasing. Today, the only one sounding was memory. She wasn't hunting big wrongs. Big wrongs announced themselves. She hunted the wrong grey and green, the wrong shine in dust, the godless straight line in a place that likes curves. She stopped. 1 finger rose. No sound. He didn't look yet. He trusted what her finger knew more than what his eyes could steal. Her voice lived at the edge of breath.
There. Color that shouldn't be.
Tick-Tick let his gaze slide where her fingertip pointed without snapping to it. The green had a wound. Grey where there should have been shadow. Grey with a human idea to it. Not rock, not reed belly. A thing cut, worn, taught by other hands. His voice was a door, kept mostly shut.
Give me a breath.
He slid into brush, where the off-grey leaked through, not pushing so much as trading places with it. Thorn combed his sleeve and found nothing to keep. A root lifted its back like a dog and let his hand pass beneath. His fingers found resistance where soil had been taught a shape, and his teeth did what they learned long ago. He worried grit and cloth until the world let go. He came back with it in his mouth and set it against his palm. Oiled cloth, salt and iron on the tongue, old grease with a memory of sun in it. He spat once, quiet, and held the strip to the light. Grey, stenciled, weather-oiled. But the weave told a truth the stencil tried to ignore, a darker line where belt tallow had crept along the warp, a double-stitched hem with wire-thin linen for the South Flats. Someone who cared about edges had done that hem. Someone who didn't mind blood had worn it. Isel's eyes measured.
Uniform's skin?
He turned the fibers between thumb and forefinger and watched where the threads pointed more than the strip itself, toward the flats, torn on the river-facing edge, as if ripped while running. He rubbed the numbers until they gave their lie. A split stencil, a hitch where a steady hand had been made to hurry.
Traitors,
he said at last.
Raiding crew, south die, grease stripe in the warp, split stencil. See the hitch?
His jaw finished the rest. Reyes's kind. The smell climbed his head like a hand and pulled. Sirens with a belt wobble no one had time to fix, the note shivering in the middle like a nerve. Stone thrumming under everything, like a big animal holding its breath. East parapet coughing dust. Arrows zippering the sky. The bell rope slapping his wrist like a lover who forgives you and doesn't. He caught himself before the fall into old noise, boxed his breath. 4 in, 4 held, 4 out, open on 4, close on 5. He let the past unhook and filed the pattern where plans live. A horn walked out of the distance, thin along the water. 1 long note laid flat as a palm. Not a drum. Horns ride water. Our drums travel through ground. It snagged the ghost of that old wall wobble for a heartbeat. The memory, not the stone. Then let it go and rode the river proper. This was not a wall horn. This horn lived on water. Izel's eyes were already on him, reading the tiny changes, the way quiet stiffened at his mouth, the way the bow looked like a memory of his arm.
Is everything okay?
She asked, truth not timid.
Who is that?
Not ours,
He said. He let breath leave his chest and carry the ghost out.
We go back to Ashforge.
She waited for the why. He gave it to the air, more than to her.
Some wars never forget their sound.
In Ashforge, the river learned the tones by heart. 1, net. 2, culverts pull. 3, let sky speak. 4, hold and harvest. No chasing. They left the comfort of water for blackgrass and the low teeth of mesquite, crossed a tongue of flats where the sun kept its knives, and bent back into reeds. No sky tap from the bowl, no gate walk on the air, no alarm yet. Good. The river ran up river, as if speed could change what waited 10 miles ahead. They matched it, stride for stride. They did not cut across. There was no across that helped. Ashforge lived upstream and in. The long way was the only way that didn't end in teeth. They moved. Heat went from wearing them to being carried by them. Their shadows shortened, then smeared. Breath learned to step on broken glass and keep going. The horn behind kept trying on distances, near for 3 beats, far for 5, as if the river were a hallway, with doors that opened and shut at random. The bank offered lies, patches that looked solid and weren't, silt that took a man's ankle the way a stranger takes a sleeve. Tick's boot sank once to the arch. He let the river pull the panic out of his lungs, leaned, twisted, came free with a cough of mud and a slow curse that never made it to his mouth. Izel read what wind had brushed the wrong way, reeds bent against their neighbors, a seam where 2 grasses disagreed. Once she tapped her knuckle on empty air, and Tick stopped before the ground admitted it was a sink with a crust on top. They stepped around it like stepping around a sleeping thought. The opposite bank walked with them at times, a moving arrangement of shadow and suggestion, the feeling of being watched by something that hadn't decided if it believed in you. The lazy tyrant's lane touched the river twice and wandered off, the prince measuring, then losing interest. Sweat salted their lips and dried before it learned their names. Their rhythm learned theirs instead. Tick. He set his tick between imagined gate booms and let the day keep that pace. The metronome put a spine under the hours. Between ticks, Isel borrowed half-breaths to listen. the burr of a distant herd prodded into tightness, the loose thunder of big feet making soil into drum. Sun climbed, then sulked behind a gauze of heat. A dragonfly stitched and unstitched their path, as if afraid it would come apart. Where the river narrowed to a throat, clay tightened and wore a scowl. A kingfisher criticized them as they passed. The sun reached down to tap both their heads and went away bored. In the lanes across the far bank, a heavy thing had paced earlier, deep ovals set too far apart for comfort, canted slightly, a lazy eye in its gait. They noted it without cursing it. You curse a storm when it's over. Cursing at the start is a way to get wet.
Lazy one still counting.
Izel said out of habit. He nodded.
Let it count.
A softness, almost humor. Past the burn scars, the ground remembered ash. Not cooking ash, the sour kind, tar, oil, the skin of old wagons. Traders had lit a road here seasons back to move a penned herd. The scars still told it. He squatted, pressed 2 fingers into a blackened rut, and tasted with eyes more than mouth.
Not today,
he said.
Old fire.
Old fire still warms the wrong hands.
Izel said.
Not ours to relight.
He answered, and they went. Where the bank broke into boulders, elder stone had spilled when the world was trying a shape, and cracked it. They climbed single file, tick-tick first, passing bow and quiver when he needed both hands. Izel moving 3 holds, behind in a rhythm made for long days. At the top, the river showed a bruise, eddies turning wrong, where a submerged log had been shackled to posts long ago.
Net bones.
He grunted agreement.
Old bones. Good to know.
They crossed a trick of light that pretended to be water, and wasn't. A sheet of thin gravel trying to have opinions. He kicked it in the shin, with the quiet of an expert, and it decided to be ground again. Then shade. Cottonwoods gone patriarch, limbs like decisions. A tannin smell, tea-brown water. He drank from his skin flask without breaking stride and handed it back. She drank and didn't thank him. The thanks lived between them already. Saying it would only make it smaller. Across the river, lanes where tyrants like to count widened and slowed, then turned away. Good. The lazy one would have to work to find them. It did not like to work. That was its sin and their favor. At a split where flood had bullied a new channel, they hugged left and earned a luxury, wind from ahead, the honest kind that shakes pollen loose. On that wind, animal, leather, the sweet rot of fish. Home's direction had a smell, even 10 miles out. Wind brought pitch and boiled hide, and under it, the faintest promise of skin. Home's drumline lives in air, even when it's quiet. The horn again. 2 notes now, a long and a shorter, like a throat-learning confidence. Far behind it, faint but real, a second horn answered with a critic's interval. Whoever was pushing the herd had friends who liked to argue with music.
Not a master,
Izel said.
Ennet.
They think they're clever.
He said.
They are.
She answered, because accuracy is a kindness. Up on a shelf of pink caliche, where a row of dead succulents looked like crooked teeth, they ran the gum line. He paced to the river more than to his legs. Heat crawled under his shirt and made plans. He cancelled them with breath and the cool thought of water ahead. At the big bend, the river drew like a pulled bow, and the land answered with a geometry people love. A bowl and a throat. The keyhole, their keyhole. Not a secret to the sky, but coiled so the world had to visit on Ashforge's terms. They didn't walk straight in. Iselle slowed, raised 2 fingers, then brought them to her lips and blew a special whistle. 4 notes with a skip, the 5th implied, and never delivered. The sound threaded the willow without bragging. Goats learned it before their names. Raptors learned it when names grew dangerous. They didn't wait long. Brush folded on both banks as if someone had cut a seam. 2 raptor riders slipped out of the green with that unnerving, unmotion good riders and good animals share. Feathers stitched along the raptor's arms like thoughts. Sickle claws lifted politely clear of stone. Harness leathers whispered. The riders wore the river more than armor. Reed wraps dulling steel, clay on cheekbones, eyes that had forgotten how to be surprised. Iselle showed her hand, palm out, middle finger bent, the old sign that makes a triceratops frill if you're looking straight at it. The lead rider flashed the same sign back and let a smile escape before he killed it.
Safe passage,
He said, voice already turning to business.
You're late for a good reason.
Late to keep you early.
Iselle said, which is how people who trust each other flirt with urgency. The raptors tasted them with air and decided not to be offended. One shook its head and made a small, content cluck, a noise like a knife sliding home.
Escort.
The lead rider said, turning his mount with a knee and a thought. They moved, and somewhere behind the bend, a horn tried on a braver note and failed.